clouds, clouds, clouds. But here, pure sunshine at the moment. Yeah, there are clouds in front of the sun, and then suddenly, boom, sun comes out, full power into the battery. It is a bit of a mix of cloud and sun today. We've got 135 amps outside, charging the vehicle. Everything works beautifully. Yeah, and this is in rare contrast to the Victron integration in Home Assistant, which has completely stopped working a couple of days ago already. It just stopped in the middle of the night and didn't update any values anymore. Then started working again in the morning. I had to reload and reconfigure the whole integration. Reinstalled it a couple of times. Read through all the forums and found there are over 90 problem tickets open with this integration. So it doesn't work reliable anymore. I don't know, I have to find another solution for Victron. But I haven't got time to look into it at the moment, so I would not rely on Home Assistant to control my solar system here. Monitoring and some simple automation like turning on hot water when the battery is full, but controlling the charging, no, no, no. As long as we haven't got an official Victron integration into Home Assistant and we are still reliant on community integrations, I cannot recommend it. Well, on the positive side of things, I have received a parcel from the UK. It is for my friend Stuart. Greetings from the UK. Have fun. Thank you very much. And he was so kind to send over a do-it-yourself BMS controller board. That's the brand new one, version 4.61. And look at this. He has printed the names of all his Patreons on the back of this PCB. Man, Stuart, you need a bigger PCB very soon. But thank you very much for sending this one over. I am still unsure what to do with it, because I think there are some ESP stuff missing and some other... We will get there, we will get there. But the main thing he was sending over was to give me a bit of hand with my 18650 testing with our salty battery. And this is a 16S test PCB. So you can install 16 18650 cells and have access to all the batteries here with this connector. Yeah, he saw me struggling. Where's this other thing actually? Yeah, he saw me testing the salty battery using this 4-bay battery holder here, and I was struggling a bit with connecting all the balance cables and everything. And hell yeah! So I paid for it last week, and today it was in the mail. Stuart, thank you very much. This is fantastic. Okay, so far this positive, negative, positive intro today. Welcome back to the Off-Grid Garage in sunny hot Australia. We are continuing testing the sodium batteries, but this will be one of the last tests we are doing with the 18650 cells. I've got the feeling we have tested everything so far. We've done all the charging, discharging, the C rating, looked at the charging and absorption. I guess there's only one test left, which we haven't done. Okay, let me clean up my workbench a bit here and set up my test environment. So, and the final test we want to do with the sodium batteries is to discharge the battery to exactly 0.0 volts. Yeah, apparently this is a thing with sodium batteries, so we want to do it. Want to see what's the advantage? How much capacity do we actually get out of this sodium cell if we discharge it from 3.95 volts all the way down to 0.0 volts? Is it worth it, or is it just a marketing gimmick? Let's find out. Okay, unfortunately, I can only discharge a single cell with the EBC-A20 tester to 1 volts. This is the lowest setting I can set in here. That's why I have installed here the A-Torch DL24P. This is an electronic load I have introduced in a video previously, and it can handle batteries up to 200 volts DC. It is limited to a discharge of 185 watts or 20 amps though, but this is totally fine for our test today. Yeah, we can actually set this one up to discharge the battery down to 0.0 volts, and we will use the EBC-A20 tester in parallel. So I've connected the negatives over here and the positives over here. So we use this one to monitor the voltage and take the full discharge curve from 3.95 all the way down to 0 volts. So this is just monitoring and this is measuring. Hang on, it is not called an electronic load. It is called Bluetooth Data Transmission Digital Control Curve Load Meter. Yeah? That is a mouthful. Yeah, and as we have seen in the introduction video of this tester, the Bluetooth functionality in the app and the computer software, they are not great. So I really want to use the EBC tester for taking the voltage curve here. and we can then compare it with other curves we already have. So first step is to fully charge this battery to 3.95 volts. I'm using 0.65 amps again, so 0.5 C, and we absorb the cell down to 0.1 amps as we have done before. Okay, let's get this underway. And the battery is already at 3.7 volts. I have pre-charged it yesterday already for our test today. So this should take only a few minutes and then we should see the 3.95 volts. Okay, this is a bit blurry here, but we can see the display. So first thing we want to do is set our discharge current to, okay, 0.65 amps. This will be our discharge current, and you can see the cutoff voltage is sitting on 0.0 volts. So we are going all the way down. Let me go into the menu. It says okay. Let's go back. Everything is on 0. You can see the voltage reading here of the EBC tester. So let's give it a few minutes to fully charge this battery, and then we start this tester here. Okay, we have reached the 3.95 volts now, and the current has tapered off to 0.12 amps. Just a tiny bit lower, and then we stop charging. As soon as we do that, I hit the monitor button. This will only take the voltage and amp curve. Okay, monitor. Okay, this did not work. Hang on. Okay, this didn't work. I have to clear the curve before we actually start our discharge test. So I think this is under Tools, Clear Curve. There it is. Okay, so we have to go to Tools, Clear Curve. Then we have to hit the monitor button. So the tester actually records the voltage, and then I press the button on the DL24P tester to discharge the battery again. But we won't see any current on the EBC tester, of course, because this is not discharging the battery. It is only monitoring the voltage, that's all. Okay, we are close. Here we go. Okay, clear curve. Yes. I click the monitor button, and I click the discharge button here on the tester. Perfect. And we are now discharging. Where is our curve? Monitor. Monitor on. Ah, it was already on. Okay, nochmal. Okay, I messed up twice so far. So I'm recharging the battery again to 3.95 volts. Now I know what to do. I just had this all in the wrong order. Okay, I'm ready. Okay, it has turned off now. We are going to Tools, clear the curve. Yes. I start the monitor. It says monitor on. And we should see actually the voltage curve. Yep, there it comes. And now I start the DLP tester to discharge it. So we should see the voltage curve perfect. There it works now. Okay, so EBC tester is only monitoring the voltage while the actual discharge is being done by the DL24P or whatever its name is. By the way, I'll link the video and the device down below in the video description. It's a very good electronic load. You could even measure your 48 volt battery systems with it, but only with 20 amps or 185 watts, whatever comes first. Okay, so we are now seeing the set discharge current of 0.65 amps. This is our battery voltage, the current we are currently pulling from the battery, the power, and it also calculates the resistance of our load, in this case the battery. But this is not the battery internal resistance. The battery internal resistance is down here. It is 170 milliohms, it claims. The display turns dark. I'm not sure. Yeah, this button turns it back on. And here we've got the energy, 0.1 watt hours, and the capacity, 22 milliampere hours at the moment. So this is a 0.5 C discharge. Takes another 2 hours or so. So I'll be back in 1.5 hours. And then we have a look at the discharge curve as well. And we'll see that we are going down to 1.5 volts. And this time we're going beyond this point. We want to discharge all the way down. Want to see what happens? Want to see how much capacity is actually left. All right, my friends, we see us again in 1.5 hours. You have a wonderful morning. Okay, we have now reached the 2 volts here. Still discharging with 650 milliamps, 1.3 watts, 3.7 watt hours we have pulled from this battery, and 1.23 milliampere hours. So we've discharged for 1 hour and 54 minutes now. And let's have a look at the curve. Alright, and here the EBC tester is monitoring our voltage, and we can see the typical discharge curve of a sodium battery. Very linear at the beginning, then we've got a bit of a plateau here at around 2.7 volts. And now we are going into the steep falling part of the curve. We are under 2 volts now, so it shouldn't take too long anymore. Unfortunately, we are not getting any data here from this curve now, because it monitors only the voltage. The EBC tester doesn't know anything about current or ampere hours. It's just a pure monitoring device. Okay, we are at 1.8 volts. $1.7 volts. 1.6 volts. Yeah, and you can see the curve goes really steep now. We just have to remember the capacity at 1.5 volts here. Okay, 1.5 is 1298. Okay, so we are now under 1.5 volts and we have only now reached the 1.3 ampere hours. So we keep discharging with 0.65 amps, reaching 1.4 volts. And look at the curve, how steep it goes down now. I hope the EBC tester can actually measure under 1 volts. If not, we only have the capacity gain between 1.5 and 0 volts. Under 1.2, reaching 1.1. Yeah, I don't think the EBC tester can actually measure that. See, the graph goes only to 1 volts. Oh, it does. It scales up. Ah, perfect. It does it. Okay, we have reached 1 volts. And the graph goes down almost vertical. 0.9 volts. And we discharge all the way down to 0 volts. 0.8, 0.7. I think that was it. I think we have reached the end of the charging. Do we? Because the voltage is jumping up and down here. Are we still discharging actually? I'm not 100% sure. It looks like we have reached... The voltage is rising again. It looks like it's going up and down all the time. We may have to lower the discharge current a bit. Let's lower this one here to 0.25 amps and see if it keeps discharging. Ah, that's a bit disappointing. I'm not sure what this UREC means here. As you can see, the voltage is jumping up and down, and so does the current. And the tester turns off and then turns back on once the voltage rises again. And this is exactly what we can see here on the curve as well. So it's going up and down. So we cannot actually go further down than 0.5 volts. It is still counting ampere hours. Yeah, it looks like it doesn't discharge any further than 0.5 volts, which is probably fair enough for this quality of tester here. I just had a look in the manual of this tester here, but it doesn't say anything about this UREC message there on the display. Well, unfortunately this test is not really helpful here, because we have reached the 1.5 volts and had 1298 milliampere hours, 63 milliampere hours more. So whenever this UREC message comes here on the display, you can see the current going to 0. So this is actually turning off our discharge current for a moment. And then the voltage rises again over the threshold and the discharge current kicks in again. Ah, it says it here in the manual. The test voltage is 2 volt to 200 volt. Okay, and we are far below this 2 volt. So I now have my light bulbs here, and we have to apply some drastic measures to bring this voltage down to 0 volts. So I'm going to stop the test here and disconnect the tester. We still leave the EBC tester connected. And over here, let's see. Oh yeah, voltage goes down, 0.1 volts. There, we are at 0 volts. The EBC tester shows 0 volts. We are still discharging with 270 milliamps though. At 0 volts. Oh wow. Okay, if I disconnect the light bulbs, yep, goes to 0. Voltage is rising. Connect again. Bang, goes to 0 volts, but 270 milliamps still. This looks like a short current now. We have got no voltage, but current. Yeah, it looks like I just don't have the tools to actually measure this accurately here down to 0 volts. And you can see here the curve going up and down all the time when the tester disconnected and then reconnected. So this happened at around 600 millivolt of cell voltage. And now I have connected the light bulbs and we are at 0 volts. If I take off the load, voltage is rising again. 0.5, 0.6, 0.7. Oh, look at this. So you cannot actually discharge these cells to 0 volts because they will bounce back. As soon as you take your load off, look at this, they bounce back to 1.2 volts. So you get something out of this test anyway. Wow, look at this. It is not charging or something. This is just a natural voltage increase now again after we hit the 0 volts. Okay, maybe we should leave it running and monitor this voltage. Maybe this gives us some insight in what's going on with the sodium batteries after you hit the 0 volts. So discharging to 0 volts and taking the load away, the voltage bounces back to 1.6 volts already. There we go, 1.6 volts. Okay, let's leave this running here and see where the voltage stabilizes. That'll be an interesting curve actually. Okay, it looks like it is stabilizing already here at 1.6 volts. Maybe it goes up to 1.7, 1.8. We'll find out. I'll be back in 20 minutes, half an hour. At Aldi, here in Australia. It's the best. Okay, we have now waited long enough, I would say. And we can see the voltage has bounced back from 0 volts down here very quickly to 1.4, 1.5, 1.6 volts. And then it is still rising a tiny bit, 1.7 volts. And we are now at 1.74 volts. I'm sure we will reach the 1.8 volt at some stage. So that is a very interesting finding actually, because the advertising for the sodium battery says you can discharge this battery to 0 volts and it is safe to transport. Well, apparently you can't. If you discharge it to 0 volts and take the load away, it bounces back to 1.7, 1.8 volts. If I connect the light bulbs again at this stage, okay, connected. Yeah, it goes down to 0 volts again very quickly. So now it would be at 0 volts. And I'll take the light bulbs off. There you go. Voltage rises again. 1 volts, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. So you still have 1.8 volt on these sodium batteries, even they are completely discharged to zero charge. But voltage is definitely bouncing back to 1.8 after removing the load. So transporting them at 0 volts is not possible unless you have them connected with a resistor. So the marketing here is a bit sketchy. Okay guys, I stopped the monitoring now of this sodium battery. So we can see the discharge curve here with a plateau at 2.7 volts and then a steep drop of voltage all the way down to 0.5 volts. We could get with these testers here, and then the current was turned off and on. You can see this scribbling, and as soon as you remove the load, the voltage bounces back to around 1.5 volts. And if you connect a resistor, it goes all the way down to 0 volts, but then removing this resistor, voltage bounces back to 1.7, 1.8 volt, maybe even higher over time. I'm glad we got something out of this test at least. With the tester disconnecting all the time at 0.5 volts, I said, I had the feeling this test was just a fail and we didn't get any information or knowledge, but using the light bulbs and then let the voltage bounce back, that is interesting. As always guys, I will save this curve here as a CSV file on my website. The link is down under the video. You can download the EB tester software for free, import this file, and then use the right mouse to read the voltage. We've got the time and the voltage at least. So the question here will be, what happens if we leave the battery at 0 volts with a resistor connected for an extended period of time? Will this actually damage the battery? Do we see an increase in degradation then? Well, I had a lot of questions about sodium batteries and I couldn't find any answers on Google, in forums. There's pretty much no information out there except for this usual marketing So hence we are doing our own testing here. But with all these questions I had, I picked my top 4 questions and I've asked AI. And what responses I got from the AI, I will show you in the next video. It came up with some very interesting information. Okay guys, so far this video from today, discharging the sodium battery down to 0 volts and watching the voltage bouncing back from there. So this was the main task. I just made this up, but it's a good result. It's interesting. And now we know you cannot discharge these sodium batteries to 0 volts. It's a marketing thing, I guess. Let me know what you think. Until the next video, guys, which shouldn't be too far away. You stay charged, stay safe, and thanks again for watching. See you then. Bye-bye. And thanks to everyone for your amazing support of my channel.